Good evening, everybody. My name is Kishore Shankar Narayan, and I welcome you all to the webinar on Introduction to Career in Data Science. So this particular webinar has been organized by Alma Mater, and Alma Mater is a company which was established in 2004, and ever since then, right, we have trained over 500,000 people on various skill sets, providing them knowledge to have their career set, all different angles we have covered, right from training people who are doing their schooling till the professionals and people who are right coaching and mentoring, even businesses. We've done it all. So this incredible success which we had over the last 16 years, right, what we have done is we have worked on a program called as Sparks. It's a support program aimed at raising knowledge and skill. Now, this is for every individual, every skill set. What we found is like they need development, whether it is and requirement for living in the corporate world, or right, it as simple as like clearing the examinations, right? It can be all sort of support that is required in order to enhance every individual's life, whether it's related to health, whether it is related to creating wealth, or whether it is related to creating just a simple happiness. So all this requires a lot of knowledge and skill sets. So the exact part that we are working on is that every individual who comes across us will try and enhance their knowledge in some way or the other, just to contribute from our side, and say the skill sets, whatever way we can help them, we provide them that. Now, today is one of the same initiatives, which is like we started a few weeks back, where we started conducting free webinars on different topics. And today is a webinar which we are working on as Introduction to a Career in Data Science. Over a period of time, like we have been working on more than 29 different streams and 380 odd different careers, and data science is just one of them. The reason why we collected, I mean not collected, why we selected data science is today everything is data. So to understand data, the first and the foremost rule that we need to live is every information that you see, right, the more and more information that you see, right, it actually consumes your attention. So it simply means that the more information you are having, right, all you're going to do is your attention span is going to reduce continuously, you know. So it's going to be like it's like overload of information. So what are we going to do with the information that we have? Everything, right? It's today on the internet, if you want to search, right, your own name, right, you would know that what the world is talking about, the internet world. But does it really matter? It's a big question to answer. It may not matter to a lot of people, and it affects a lot of people at the same time, because we are constantly in lookout for things. We just want to set things up right. The most important aspect is when this statement was made by Herbert Simon, right? It was way before when the internet even actually worked on. and it was starting to pick up, all the information. But today, if you know that we have this overload of information, that is what is causing all the setting. Now, a data science, what is it all about? It has been there forever, right? It's not like something new that has come up, but then it has been, right, earlier it was more like to be done by the statisticians. And if you see, it all started with when, right, even before the computer was born. But then computers started learning something to enhance our knowledge, or enhance our workforce, or simplify our life. But then computer also understands certain things, like humans, what we do, right, understand in a certain way. Computer also understand only a certain way. Now, in computer science, if you see, the smallest unit of data is a bit, and it's a short form for binary digit. When you talk about binary digit, it's like just two numbers, 0 and 1. So if you, it's similar to, right, an on and off. Now, what happens is, it's like every drop makes an ocean. Same way it goes for the data here. It's like every bit, right, when it starts adding, right, more and more information gets added. Now, you might have heard about different terms and different things, but like, let's understand what those terms mean. But then before that, let me just give you an idea how this works. It's like when you're talking about two bits, when they join together, there can be 4 different combinations for 0 and 1. It's all about that. So if there are, like, when 4 bits join, there can be 16 different states. So it just keeps on multiplying, right? As the bits add, as the information keeps on adding, right? And more so ever, it raises to the power of 2, So it's like when you're talking about 2, it just keeps on adding everywhere. Now, 8 bits makes 1 byte, BYTE, right? And you may have heard this term byte. It's all going to be, right, in bytes. Whatever we are going to talk is in bytes, whether we are talking about internet, whether we are talking about the speed, whatever we are talking about, which is related to computers, it's all about bytes. So when the 2 bits is raised to the power of 10, right, it comes to 1024 bytes, and that's when 1 KB comes in the picture. That's 1 kilobyte. You might have heard that, like, okay, your text size is 1 KB, your text size is 4 KB, or your image size is, right, 500 KBs, right? All this are based on the bits, which keeps on adding, and it goes on to end up as, right, bytes. Now, here, if you see, when you're talking about 1024 bytes, 1 kilobyte comes in the picture. And when 1024 kilobyte adds up, 1 megabyte comes in the picture. And same way, right, 1024 megabyte gets you 1 gigabyte. Increasingly so, 1024 gigabyte will become 1 terabyte. So if you see, it keeps on increasing 1 by 1 on this state. The interesting part is like every minute that you spend on the internet, this is what is happening, right? Every minute, right? If you see, right, there are 500 hours of content just uploaded. Forget about seen and used and all. It's just getting uploaded on YouTube channels. If you see on a place like a WhatsApp, right, or any messengers, 69 million messages are sent. Same way, if people are on Facebook, you see 1.4 million scrolling. People are just scrolling their pages. And on LinkedIn, right, you have 9,132 connections made every single minute. So imagine a day, and then it goes to your week, then it goes to the month. So all this keeps on adding as the data. So I have a quick question, if anybody can answer. Did anybody have an idea what's happening in here? Anybody?
Um, you are telling us about because we should know why data science is important.
Yeah, so the reason, exactly. So the reason I'm telling about all this is all this contribute to the data. And what happens to the data? It just keeps on adding and adding and adding and adding. And we need to go back to this statement where it says that all this information, when it gets added, it only consumes your attention. Your attention span, it just takes away from you. You don't understand what to do next because there are so many things happening all around, whether to, right, go to Netflix, or whether to go and watch YouTube videos, right, whether to go to Instagram and just right, add your videos, scroll it up, or you just want to swipe right and left on Tinder. you know so anything that you are trying to do, right, is adding up to data. The latest addition to the data is might be the space tourism, right? But then apart from all those, right, the number of people tweeting different things adds up all different volumes. Now if you see, there are, right, for Amazon, when we are talking about Google, whether we are talking about Apple, everybody has their own, right, audio devices, right? You just need to just say that, okay, Google, do this for me. Or let's say you call in Alexa and say, Alexa, do this for me. You know, so all this, when you talk, it again adds up to your information. And this information gets turned into the bits and it gets added onto the right space. So all different servers hold this space. That's the whole idea. Now, when you're talking about uh, the brain, right? This is all like computer, the artificial intelligence part, right? Anybody has any idea on how the brain works? The human brain? Anybody?
It gathers
Yeah, Mike.
information.
Yeah, Zara, you're telling something.
Yeah. So it gathers information around it and makes a result out of it.
Okay. And yeah, Michael, you raised your hand. You have something to say? Hello? Michael, right?
Here,
Michelle,
brain gathers and process all the data.
correct. So brain also, like your internet gathers data, it also processes data, but every time it processes the data, it also needs to work on it, right? So that's exactly what. Can you pronounce your name? It's Michelle, Michael, how it is?
Michaela.
Hello?
It's Michaela.
Michaela. Okay. So thanks, Michaela. Right. I love when the interaction happens. So please, let's all keep on interaction. Anytime anybody has any question, please feel free to just ask me the question. Now, as I said, when we are talking about the brain part of it, right? Our brain has something called as neurons, right? And there are 86 to 100 billion neurons within the brain. And every neuron has something called as synapses, right? Which is, right, thousands of synapses are there. Now, why these synapses are there? The synapses are there to talk with each other. Like, for example, if you want to raise your hand, right? What you do is the brain has to, right? The brain has to communicate with all the cells, right? Through the neurons. So neurons is also cell, and there are different set of cells also in the body, right? So neuron starts giving instructions. How it gives instructions that, okay, do this, raise your hand. It gives instructions, so you raise your hand. But then just to raise your hand, there are millions of neurons, right, who are working together. What they do, they just, right, through the synapse, they start talking to each other. So synapse, what it does, one synapse, there is something called as kiss and run, right? Imagine something like, right, a cartoon where there's like, there are two characters, right? And there are, right, they just come, they kiss, and then they run back, you know? So it's all happening in the brain. So right from your toes to the head of, right? It's all like the communication cycle that happens. Now, synapses are the workhorse for the memory, each part, right? Now, like the bit for computer, synapse is for the brain. Now, approximately there are 250 trillion synapses in our brain, right? And when we are, if you talk about not bits, but bytes, it's 30 trillion bytes. So if you want to go by bits, you just need to multiply 30 trillion bytes by 8. That will give you bits. So it becomes 240 trillion bits. Now, what is the most important thing that you need to remember? You need every cell that fires together will wire together. So it's like till the time the connection continues till the brain, right? You will be able to raise your hand. Now, sometimes what happens is your brain is telling your hand to raise itself, but it does not happen because somewhere down the line from the brain to the hand, right, the synapses are not talking to each other. And that's exactly the reason. Now, when they don't talk to each other, because they don't have enough information to talk, or they don't have enough information to, right, pass on, or it's like they are not firing, their battery is down, you know. So that's the whole idea of brain. Now, signal from synapses actually vary from sizes, right? When you're talking about all this contribute, remember, all this is contributing to your data within your body, right? Now, every signal, some signal can be really pushed hard, some signal might be. It's like your electricity, right? So somewhere there is like when there is a low voltage, right? There is like it starts flickering. When there is high voltage, the bulbs are like really bright. Same way, right? Our cells in the synapses work, right? And the larger the synaptic strength, the memory also starts increasing. So you need to, right? If you're talking about having a good memory, right? What do you think you should be doing if you want to have good memory? Anybody?
Have a good sleep.
Have a good sleep. That's a good idea. Yeah, you need to rest a lot. That is one. Anybody else has any question? I mean, any idea on what we should be doing?
Eat healthy so that our mind works properly.
Eat healthy. So sleep, eat healthy, right? Anybody else? Yeah, there's so many people. Nobody has any idea what should be done if you need to keep the signals hard. No. Okay. So let me tell you. So, right. Sleeping and resting is one thing that needs to be done. Eating healthy is, again, it needs to be done. The third most important thing is you need to keep on with your physical activities, right? Where you're talking about walking, talking, right? How many of you have the knee roll? Knee. Everybody has a knees? So at least say yes or no. You can unmute yourself, everybody.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
continue. Anybody who has not said yes, please say yes or no.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
A few
Yes.
more yeses. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
You know, when your knee roll starts working, your brain starts working. Got it? So keep your knee moving all the time. Like let's say stand, sit, walk, right? Say, right? All this is, right, contributing to your brains. Every activity, when you're, right, just maybe rubbing your hand, right? It gives the signal. So let's do, can everybody unmute themselves? Let's do a small exercise. Let me on my video so that you guys can see me. Okay, let's do a small exercise. Everybody is unmuted. I'm not seeing a lot of them unmuting. Okay, great. So now what we are going to do is this. Everybody has finger, right? And a palm, correct? Yes? Yes. Now, you just need to follow the way I'm doing, right? All we need to do is on the palm, take your finger and start hitting. I cannot hear. Can everybody do it? Okay. Now let's take 2 fingers and do it. Now let's take 3 fingers. 4 fingers. And 5 fingers. Now what we did? What did we do?
Clapping.
We did clapping in the final part. But like when we were doing, what we were doing is we were actually creating a stronger synaptic strength in the brain. Because all this neuron, all this activity when happens, it's like your all this brain activity starts taking into effect. Yeah. What's the question?
Does it mean that the action that we do, or does this mean that in every action that we do, our brain process every data or it gathers data?
Correct. It gathers data. Now, when you're seeing something, for example, you're seeing a picture, the picture is getting registered in your brain, right? It's collecting the data and it is storing it. You know, the same way, right? Every activity that you do, you lift your hand. It is the mind is getting trained how to lift something. When you're touching, right, your finger, right? For example, like you want to have the rain effect. Right now, everybody is in the room, and we know that like there is nothing called rain. But then if you do the same thing continuously, right, your mind will start thinking, right, it's raining. Let's have the rain effect. What we need to do is the same thing, but we need to do it continuously. Everybody unmutes themselves, right? And right, just observe my hand, and then like without me telling anything, we will continuously do it. Okay, let's start. So you understand, everybody, were you able to, now when everybody does it at the same time, what happens? Okay, let's mute ourselves. The idea is when you are right, try this when you're, let's say, right, a lot of people inside a room, and if they want to activate, have the rain effect, the auditorium, right? This is exactly what it's like. Your brain will start recollecting that how the rain sound comes in, the same, it relates with the sound, the data is matched, and your brain says that, okay, the effect is feeling, the feel of the rain comes in the brain. So you can always work around different ways. How to, you can, one, you can always fool your brain. Remember that, right? But at the same time, brain is so wonderfully placed that it knows that you're fooling. So one part, there are different parts in the brain which collects data in a different way, right? So one section of your brain will collect all the logic data. The other part of the brain will collect all the imagery data. That's the creativity part of it. So all this brain part functions in a different way. The same way computer also functions in different ways. Now remember, all this that is happening within your brain is just 1% of your brain's capacity. So imagine what should be more important, the artificial intelligence that we are going to talk about after the data science, or the human intelligence, the real intelligence. What do you think will be more important? Anybody? Anybody?
Human intelligence.
Brain?
Human.
Yeah. So human brain is more important. So never forget that as the data science. If you're going to go in for the data science, always remember that even if you create artificial intelligence, the intelligence has been created by the human mind. So that's one thing that we need to work on. Now, coming back, right, as a data scientist or a data analyst or anybody who is working on data, there are few simple things or the basic things that you need to work on. One is your math and statistics. You need to have coding skills, which is you can use Python. You can, right, there are something called as data wrangling, pre-processing. All this data needs to be worked on because there is so much of data, right? So you need to be having the learning skills for lifelong. You need to know what are the real world scenario. All this needs to be there. So if you understand, there is one important thing, right? The ethical skills, because there are so much of data available, right? You are not clear what is happening. You can be truthful to things, or at the same time, like you can be like, oh, whatever, I can create data, right? And I can say that, okay, this is what the result is. Ultimately, you need to be working on ethics. You need to be truthful to yourself. The same way, right, you need to be a team player. It is not going to be individual. It's a lifelong learning that you need to be, right, taking care of. So your communication skill, so like whatever you have derived from the data, right, whatever you have understood from the data, you need to be processing. Like your brain, on the CPU of your brain, I mean the entire system of your CPU, the CPU of your entire system is your brain. So the brain, the way it works, exactly the same way the computer also works. So, but then it needs to be processed, right? But it understands in a different way. It understands only ones and zeros. You need to understand those aspects and then go get along with that. Now, like we have a life cycle, data science also has a life cycle. So there are, right, as for a scientifically placed, there are 7 stages to it, right? Now, remember that the life cycle of any information system, so that there is like data science has the simple life cycle, but then information systems and other systems also have their life cycles, right? The best way is like whatever questions or whatever things, right, that your brain is not immediately processing, right? Give it a few seconds, right? It will start processing. And if you're still not able to do, all you need to do is go on the internet and ask somebody. Whom will you ask? On the internet, whom do you ask
Google.
usually?
Google.
Google.
Well,
So remember, there are a lot of things Google knows, but there is one important thing that Google does not know, is what's happening with your brain. So you need to understand everything. Your capacity, your capability, all is what with you, and the other aspect is, right, what Google can answer. So you just need, Google can answer you everything, but like whether it is the correct answer or is the answer what you're looking for, who will determine it?
Yourself.
Exactly, yourself. You will determine it yourself, right? So depending on Google is very important, but then at the same time, over dependency on Google, right, is really harmful for your brain. So don't over depend on Google, but at the same time, don't over depend on anybody apart from yourself. Your brain is one thing that you need to work on very clearly. Now, you got it? Any other questions so far?
Nothing so far.
Huh? Nothing so far. Okay. So let's talk about this life cycle of data science. So when you're talking about data science, the first step that comes is your business understanding. So you may be in any industry, any part that you're working on. You may be just working on with a company which is right manufacturing tires, right? Even there, you need to have that industry's knowledge. What happens? You may be working for a CD manufacturing company. You require data. What happens in that industry? You may be working in a hospital. You need to know about what is happening in the industry, right? Everything. You may be into a packaging company. You may be in a dress manufacturing company. You may be in a company which is manufacturing, or it is right just transferring data from one place to the other. You still require industry. You may be in a company which is just right going on telling everybody say hi, 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 right? You still require industry knowledge. Anything that you're going to do requires industry knowledge, right? Remember that the more time you spend, you may be in let's say a bakery, which is like you make the best cakes. You need to understand that industry, how that industry works. You need to have clear terms, what are being used. You may be just right having your own business. You need to know what business you are into. You may be working with human body. You need to know. So anything that you're talking about, you need to have the business understanding of what's happening there. You may be one who is creating logos. You may be one, right, who just has to say, right, while right, maybe the security, right? You may be one who is right into the army, whom you may be the one who is related to space stations. Every industry has certain amount of data. I mean, in fact, a lot of data. All this data needs to have your understanding. So once you understand the business, right, the next step you do is called as data mining. Data mining in simple terms is all about collecting the data. Okay, so what you're doing is you're collecting your data from websites, different places. You are collecting from the customer relation management data softwares. You're collecting some purchase data. You're collecting some social data from all the different medias. Your smart television is right giving you some data, right? You're collecting data from all different places, all different surveys that you do, right? Everywhere. Your mobile is sending data. So when you're moving from one place to other, right, the moment you switch on, right, one is like it is giving the data from tower to tower. Every tower you change, the mobile is providing data. Same way, the moment you on your location, right, the same data gets transferred. And so depending on what industry you want or what are the case that you're working on, you may be working on something like right, the company says that just find out, let's say you are into the laptop keyboard manufacturing company, right? And the company says that you need to find out on the laptop, right, the key escape is pressed how many times. You know, so when you're pressing this data, right, you have to collect data from somewhere. So what you will do, you will connect this particular case with, right, either you'll say that, okay, on mobile you will send a survey saying that, okay, how many times you pressed the escape key. Answer. So let's say it goes to 10,000 people, and out of 10,000 people, 4,000 people say I pressed it 5 times. 1,000 people say I pressed it 2 times today. So same way, right? Another 5,000 people say that I did not press escape key at all. I don't know where it is. So things like that. So all this data gets collected different way. And once the data gets collected, what you do? You are going to clean the data. So somebody might have saying, what is your question? Right. So you do, when the person has not understood the question that how many times did you press the escape key, then the data is not clear, right? Somebody might have just, right, if you're asking for phone number, somebody might have just said 00000 and just send it, right? If you're asking for the name, somebody might have just given the first name. It did not give the last name. Somebody might have just said, right, if you're talking about any data that you're collecting, right, whether it is related to the job industry, whether it is related to IT industry, whether it is related to manufacturing industry, any data that you're collecting, once the data is collected, right, all you're going to do is clean the data. Now, for example, let's everybody is online on laptop. Yeah.
So,
Yes. No.
yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's do one thing, right? Let's understand. Anybody can just go to Google, right? Let's say I'm going to Google. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So I want to type, let's say, data science. Now, if you scroll down, right, it will say how many pages. It keeps on going, right? And this is what the data results are. So if you see 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and then like you have million. So 335 million data, it just gave you in less than 1 second. What are you going to do with this data?
Filter out.
Yeah, so you need to, okay, you said that, okay, this is not working. So I want data science and Python course duration in, let's say, India. So now the results has reduced to 72, right? So if I say that I want to have data science course duration in MIT, right? It's reduced to, so what I'm doing is I'm filtering it out, what exactly I want, right? Now, if you see, there are like, these are the results which are coming, but I want some specific course, some specific company, some specific. So let's say data science course duration for Alma Mater. Right. So there might be, right, these are different results. Right. So you check right, as and when it starts filtering one by one, and you just come to the position where it's just giving you a simple result. Okay, everybody is online now.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Others? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
po.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Po.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to ask you something. So let's say Control C, the chat. Let's do this activity. Now we are going to create data. Okay. Now you see that link on the chat box?
Yes, sir.
Yes, everybody? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
So click on
Yes.
that link. Click on that link and it will take you to this page. Take you. So let's say I'm going to the same page. Okay. So if you see previously, it was showing us 36 subscribers and somebody brilliantly just added one subscription. That I love that person, whoever has done that.
Me.
So can everybody just go and click on the subscribing button if you have not done earlier?
Done.
Done. So let me refresh
Done.
again. Let's see, it increases. 44 subscribers. Okay. Anybody else? That's it. Only what? Only 7 people active. Okay. So remember, like whenever you want to subscribe it, just go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels because that's where we'll do. Coming back to the data cleaning part. Now,
Done.
what happens when all this data gets collected, right? What they have something called as analytics. It will show what is happening. So let's say I go to our videos. Right, what Google is doing in the background, right? Google is doing all this analysis. Okay, you see all these graphs, right? So there are automatic filters which are there, which gets added, and right, how many people viewed it, how many hours have been seen, how many new subscribers are there, right? Everything, which is the video which is seen the most, right? How many views, all this comes under the data and they start filtering it. So if you come back to yours, so all this happens when, now this is all data which is without cleaning. Remember that it is just like happening, right? All this data is getting collected. So now if I put all this data into an Excel sheet or into a data frame, what happens? It will show missing values, right? It will show some cells which are missing. It will show some cells which are duplicates. It will show some cells which are not in the range what we are looking for, right? There would be different labels that you need to attach it. So all this activity happens during the data cleaning part. You understood, everybody?
Yes.
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 So what we are
Yes.
doing is we are collecting the data. So what I did, right? I asked you to go to Google, right? And now what I did, I asked you to subscribe. You subscribe and I've collected the data, right? Now, once I collect the data, I will go to analytics and see what is happening, and I'll download a report. And once I download the report, it will start giving me the results. Yeah. And from that results, I'll have to start working on each part of the data. Now, there are different techniques that how cleaning happens, all those filters happen, that we'll cover at a later stage or some the course that we are doing. Now, once you do that, you start exploring all the data, whatever has come in, right? Whatever you have cleaned. Once you have cleaned, you need to know, right, what you have cleaned. So you will be calculating, you'll be checking the mean, median, mode, right? Everybody knows mean, median, modes. Have they heard in their school?
Yes.
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 The same mathematic rule will apply here. You will have to find something called as mean. Based on mean, you will derive some results. Based on median, you will derive certain results. The mode, you will derive certain results. Same way, what you will do, once you have, right, you will start plotting it. You will start creating some kind of graphs. You will start, so that visually, right, you're understanding what is happening. Right now, all this visualization, now if you see, now we also saw some interactive visualization when we saw on the YouTube. Correct. So there were like, okay, something was like some real life situation or real time situations were just getting updated, or it will just say that, okay, as you update, the visualization changes. So you start creating and you start exploring. Based on the visualization, you will start saying that whether it is correct, whatever you're seeing is correct or not, whether it is giving the correct answer or not, what is happening with the trend, whether the trend, it is going up, it is going down, it is going parallelly, right? The same, right? You just need to understand that part. Got it? Yes? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now once you have done your EDA, that's called as the exploratory data analysis, then you do something called as feature engineering. Now, feature engineering is pretty simple. You just take one feature out of the entire feature, or you feel, right, you have something called as the targeted features, or you will have to find out which is the best feature. For example, I'll just give you, so like if somebody is working on a data of housings, right, which area has, right, more sales. So somebody wants to find out, some real estate company says that find for me. So all you will do is you will say that, okay, this area has so many flats which are, or so many apartments which have 1 bedroom, right, 1 hall and 1 kitchen. So many places, so many houses has 2 bedrooms, 1 hall, then like you have 3 baths, you have with the swimming pool. So all this data will be there. And once the data is there, you'll pick up one part. So you'll say that, okay, the place where swimming pool is there, that is selling the highest, or that is selling the lowest, but then the value of that house is the highest. Where place, like there are places where which has got gardens, so there might be, or the sea facing house. So all this part becomes 111 feature. So when you're working on any data, there are all these observations that happens. What you will do, which feature is the best feature, you need to identify. Got it? So you have filtered your data, and then like you're identifying which feature is the best feature. And once the best feature you have identified, you start modeling. And modeling is where exactly you will say that, okay, now if somebody say, if you want to build a building in a particular area, you will be able to tell them after you do your feature engineering and all. Anybody has any questions? Annotation is happening. Let's clear the annotation. So, okay. So anybody, if anybody has any questions?
None.
None.
None?
None,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So now, where I was, yeah, predictive modeling. So what you will do is, like, you will start predicting. If somebody wants to, for example, you're working for a real estate company and they are wanting to build houses. You will, and they, based on the area, you will predict all the data you have studied. You will predict, saying that in the next 1 year, this is what is going to happen. The 1-bedroom hall kitchen is going to sell the most. The one which is which has swimming pool is going to sell the most, or one which is facing the sea is going to sell the most. You will come up with a model which will say that based on the model, right, this is the result. For example, right, have you guys heard a term called COVID?
Yes.
Yes. So now everybody in the world is working on the data that is on COVID. So they will start telling you, right, in the next 6 months, the COVID data is going to rise. In the next 2 months, it is going to drop. The second wave is coming. Third wave is coming. How they are able to do? They're able to do with modeling. So they will work on all the data, all the steps. They reach modeling, and then they'll start predicting. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes? Great. So the
Yes,
next,
po.
yeah. So the next is, once you have created the model, then everybody wants to have their visual effects, like the entertainment for the eyes. This is called the entertainment for the eyes. Remember that, right? So most of the stakeholders does not understand what data we have worked on. So we have put on all those efforts, right? So we have, out of 7 steps, we have done 6 steps, right? Nobody is going to care for those steps if you're not going to give them exactly what they want through visualization. So how would you do? You would create visualization through bar graphs, or you'll say that area, right? There are plots which are there. All these creations you have seen in the Excel sheet, right? Or you have seen in all different places where you are working on. You have seen these kind of graphs, right?
Yes.
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 Graphical
The
data.
graph actually shows what is going to
Ready.
happen, whether it is going to rise, whether it is going to come down or not. Got it, everybody?
Yes.
Ready.
Yeah. What is the question? Okay. I assume there is no. Yeah. What is the question?
Can you repeat what you've said earlier?
For visualization, or you want
Um,
predictive modeling?
no. In visualization. Visualization.
Visualization. So what happens in visualization is, you're going to create these graphs. So what you will do, you will run a code and you will show, right, what is the trend. So let me show you some. If you see, let's say COVID. So COVID can be, I'm just going to Google COVID trend. You see that this graph?
Yes.
Right? This graph is actually showing where the COVID is heading. So all these graphs, right? If you, even in the images and statistics, all this you're seeing, These are all visualization. Okay. Now, for example, right, if you see by state-wise COVID trends in, let's say, US, all. So this is what is happening. If you say maps of cases in the last 14 days. So these people are, right, every state, it is giving what is the cases. So you see all this, these are all like real-time situations and the graphs. So it is clearly giving the explanation, right?
Yes.
So this is what the visualization is all about. Nobody is going, I'm not going to go and ask Google, how did you do such a wonderful job of providing this information every day basis? So I want to know what happened on April, let's say August 9th, right? I'll go August 9th. Yeah, I'll go here on August. What is there? Let's stick with August 11th. So I want to know what happened on August 11th, right? There were new cases, the 7-day average. I want to know. I'm not going to ask Google that how did you come to this figure? I'm just going to go by the answer which is there. That's exactly, but then the efforts that has gone to make this line, just this line, right, is, right, thousands of hours of programming just to make these lines. That's exactly what happens in visualization. So this can be this, you can represent it, right, depending on what cases and how you are working on, what data you are working on, you will be presenting. And that's all. This situation is based on all this data works on different spaces, right? Whether it is optimization, whether it is robotics, whether it is you want to plan and schedule, right? You have a calendar for it. There's something called as speech recognition software. You know, when you talk, it starts typing. You know that?
Again.
Speech recognition software.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So computer vision, which works on your camera, right? It starts recognizing, facial recognition, machine learning. So all this form a part of data science, where all this data sciences, all these data scientists are working really hard and they are trying to get you the best. Now, all this data, what is so much hype about so much of data? The reason it is hyped is, right, it is like, if you want to be successful in this era, right, you need to know exactly what's happening with your data. And that's exactly the reason, right, they are among the top 3 paid people in the world. So if you learn data science, right, you are bound to have a very heavy package. Can we do one more activity for Googling? Yes, no? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
So let's say, let's go to Google and ask how much data scientists are paid. How much is data scientist highest paying? Data science is one of the fastest growing professional fields. Due to high demand, these jobs often pay well and have a median salary of, you know what is this figure? $94,280 per year. So that's the median salary globally, right, which is paid for data scientists. Now, let's say if you have to have, we'll also do it. Let's say salary for data scientists. So Zip Recruiters, just for an analyst, is $32,000 to $88,000. Right? Right? You have $41,000 to $72,000 per year for just for data analyst. Right? So anywhere, if you see, let's say data scientist in, can you name any country that you want to know about? Salary?
Philippines.
Philippines. So let's say
Philippines.
Philippines. So the salary of data scientist starts from 30,000 peso. Peso is, it's right? Peso.
Yes.
30,000 peso to 1.4 million peso per year. 710,000. That's right. Pesos to 1.1 million pesos per year. Same way, any other country?
Maybe Russia.
Maybe Russia or
USA.
USA. Everybody wants to come to USA. You have
Yes, of
$50,000
course.
to $340,000 per year. Okay. Even in, let's say somebody wants to go to Russia, right? 100K ruble per year to 4.7 million. So if you see it, this is a very high paying job that you get, right? Because they work so much and they give so much details. And now let's come back to, now this is the salary. You think people are going to, right? Now, all this data, when we did, right, for this demand, what happened was, this all started way back in early when we were starting to learn Excel. Everybody knows Excel?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, great. So it started with, like earlier all, like everybody used to just use Excel and analyze the data and just give a lot of details, right? Now you have Google Analytics, you have Power BI, you have, right, Python, all the programming language, all these different things which makes life a bit easier than earlier for crunching data. So there are millions of people who are providing you data, but then how are you going to analyze the data? How are collected data? So there are different softwares, right? It provides all this, but you need to know how Google Analytics works. You need to know how Power Business Intelligence work, Power BI that by Microsoft works. You need to know how Tableau works, or you need to know at least Python or R, different programming language that can provide you the details. Any one of the languages you know, great, you will be able to. Remember that everything right, representation of data, a structured data representation, like you have the Excel. In data science, it is called as a data frame. So you will have a data frame, you will have same rows and columns. You have, right, SQL, where like you will have multiple rows, multiple relations, multiple sheets, like you do it in Excel. There are multiple things which are related, and then you pull in data and then work on. Same way, the beauty now is everything is remote, right? We are not able to go out and work. So because it is going to be remote, it's going to be increasingly competitive. It is not going to be easy. You need to really work hard. Maybe, right? For some people work 4 hours a day studying. Some people work 8 hours a day studying only about data science, right? So the efforts, there are two ways to always pay for your, get paid or work for your code. Now, you just need to sit 8 hours a day and learn, correct? The first thing, you sit and learn. Second thing is you learn intelligently. How you learn intelligently? There are some people who have already worked on certain things. You pick that and add on whatever your brilliance is. But learn what the other person has actually framed. So that's where the open sources comes in the picture, there where multiple people start working. And same way, within the data science opportunity, what happens is both candidates and the companies, they come in collaboration and work on the cloud. So they will start sharing documents like Google Docs is there, or any other documents on the cloud. You place it, and so that everybody can access and everybody can start working on the same document. You have GitHub, you have all different kind of setups which will help you to become a competitive data scientist, right? So competition is also high, the demand is high, the competition is high, but the supply for data science is drastically low. Just for last year, I'm not even last year, let's talk about in the last 8 months of data science life. There were more than, only in India, there were more than 95,000 vacancies which were not filled at all. Globally, there were more than 1.1 million jobs which were not filled at all because people are not competitive enough to take up that job. You're understanding? But then like you can become competitive. It's just like you practice and go ahead and get things done. Correct? Everybody got it?
Yes.
Yes. Question. Now, if you have to learn data science, we saw data science pay scale, correct? How much they are getting? Yeah, they're getting really hefty amounts. People are getting paid very high. But if you have to learn data science, then you think do you need to invest something? Anybody?
What's the question? Can you repeat the question?
Repeat the question. Okay. Now let's say if you have to learn data science, then you have to have your course, right? Now, wherever you are learning from your course, right? Do you think you need to, invest money for it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So how much do you think a data science course is going to cost?
In dollar or
Yeah, you can tell in pesos or you can tell in rupees.
I think $100
$100. Okay. So
or
100 you think, right? People can learn data science.
I guess.
Okay, great. Okay. Anybody else has any figures? So we have got one figure, $100.
In India, it's like
Ano?
1,50,000 to 2,50,000.
In India, it's 1,50,000 to 2,00,000, right? So that makes around 2,000 to, let's say, $2,000 on an average. Okay. Anybody else?
70,000 pesos.
Huh? 70,000 pesos. Okay. Anybody else? So remember, on an average, we can still Google it up. You want us to Google, or we'll just go by whatever numbers we have got? Should we Google it?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Let's Google. Let's ask. Google is a very wonderful support, you know. So let's say data science cost. So let's scroll down and see what is the fees for data science. Okay. So you have 5,95,000 rupees for in India, 2,25,000 rupees you have for 50,000, you have for 1,200. So there is a whole list. Yeah. So you have 4,95,000. 21,000 rupees is also there. 12,500 rupees is there. Great. So we have all range. So if we understand correctly, there are two ways to learn. So let's go back to our presentation. There are two ways to learn. One, we learn free of cost. One extreme. The other extreme is, right, you spend around, right, $20,000 to $30,000 and learn. So the range is very high. So you can learn anywhere. You can learn free also, right? And you can learn with the paid version also. Now, my question to all of you will be, how do we learn free?
Pardon?
Python or no, total data science, not only Python.
Internships?
Internships, okay. Any other ideas? No ideas. What's happening? So one we just need to know how to learn free. Or you all think like, oh, free, we don't learn
Google.
anything. Google. Perfect. But when we want to learn Google for free, right? Or you want to do internship for free, or you want to learn anything, anywhere, right? You want to learn free. Always remember that it is, right, going to take, right, that clear cut extra bit of effort that you will have to put. You will have to do a lot of research on it and work on it. Okay, so both the ways you can learn. Remember data science to learn, like earlier I told. One is, right, what you're going to do is you're going to invest money and learn. So why would you invest money? Because somebody else has done the research and then you are adding on to your work. If you're going to learn free, right, all you need to do is, right, do your research the way you want, understand it, right, make a structure out of it, and then learn. So depending on how much time you have, right, how much early you want to start your jobs, how much time early you want to start your work life or your businesses, according to that you will plan. Got it, everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we also have from Alma Mater also, we will be providing, right, this course. It's going to start on 1st of November, that is 3:30 p.m. IST. It will include 26 weeks of training and practice. All this, we will have live learning sessions and also through a lot of recordings that will be there. There will be queries, there will be teachers who will be solving your queries. All this is going to happen. There will be one-on-one sessions that will be happening. And moreover, the most important part, earlier what we spoke about your human intelligence, correct? So how we are going to use human intelligence and data science to go towards something called as artificial intelligence. So this course is going to cover 3 sections. First section will be your real intelligence, how you're going to use it. Within data science, right, there will be mathematics, statistics, and data science that will be covered. And then how you can enhance your machine learning to artificial intelligence will be guided. Okay. Now, office hours will be there where we will start discussing your projects, how you're going to work on your projects. These are all going to be real-time projects. You will be pulling data from different sources and working on the data and showing it. We will guide you how to get the data, what you need to do, what are all this project, and then you will be presenting it us. And once the presentation and everything is done, within our company, we will either retain you, right? Because we also want data scientists, right? So we will take you up for the job, or we will also have, right, placement service where we will be helping you to get the right kind of job, right, at the right place, whether it is remote, whether it is international placements or anything. We will talk and we will guide. Understood, everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now course registration will start on 29th of September, right? And we will announce the fees and all on right during that time. And we will also tell you, right, what we will run a special discount from the 1st to the 29th to the 15th of October. Anybody who wants to enroll, right, can let us know. Now, this course, like everybody is saying, we will have both the aspects to it, right? One, we will have the free aspect, right? The other one, we will have the paid aspect. Both the aspect we will cover. The trainings is not going to impact because it is free or paid, right? It will continue to be the same standards for everybody, but then the efforts by both of them, those people who want to learn for free, right, will have a different effort level, and those people who want to learn paid will have a different effort level. Understood?
Yes.
Yes. So anybody who is interested, just let us know, right? Our email is there. It's called as info@amsparks.com, right? You can email to us. We will email you the quiz shortly. We will also email you the quiz and other things, and you can attempt that quiz, answer the questions, whatever you have learned, whatever you can do. So if you have learned something today, from that, enter the quiz answers. Now, if you did not pay attention totally, no, don't worry about it. You can always take the help of Google to answer the quiz. Same way, right? This video recording will be placed soon of the entire thing. So you can do that also. Anyway, so all this will be informed. We will get back to you on that part. Any questions? Yes, no? No?
We don't have any questions.
Okay. So thank you for listening to me all this time. I'll hand you over to Zaira, right, for anything she wants to add, and then we will conclude. And don't forget what we need to do: like, share, subscribe once we go to the channels, all this social media. Don't forget to do that.